Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at Solana. So we're going to go over a couple of different ideas here on the higher time frame and then go into the smaller subwave counting. We're going to talk about the idea that this could be a bigger trending move where we could be looking for a bigger ABC pattern, and if this is in fact our B wave low here, that we could be looking for a target between this 676 and this 10,547. Now if we are looking at this as a C wave, it's going to become very important here, the internals of these moves, and we're going to go over some of them. They would be potentially pointing more towards this lower area here, but if there is extension here, we could continue to see this push up to some of these other key levels that we have here, and then be looking at this as just a bigger ABC pattern. Now, one of the other things we're going to talk about in this video is the possibility that what we could have here is that this is actually a completed wave 1, and we've completed our wave 2 over here. And what we could then be looking for is, rather than just blasting straight up here, that we could be looking to form an additional wave 1 and 2, where we could be looking for this to complete somewhere between this 2.618. Now this is in relation to this move down here, which would be here towards this 268. Alternatively, if we do look to continue to push up higher and actually break this high, this $858 could also be a target that we would be looking for. Now with this idea, the difference would be that we're going to complete this move, we're going to have a deeper retracement, and then we're going to look for that bigger impulsive move to the upside. So just going to be keeping an eye on this. If we continue to hold the fourth wave locations, then we can look for that continuation up directly. Alternatively, if we start to break down here and we start to get bigger impulsive structure down, potentially in a zigzag, something quite scary to flush people out of their positions, then we could be looking at something more along these lines. One of the last things that we're going to talk about towards the end of the video is the possibility that this could still be a bigger corrective move. Now the reason why I'm looking at this possibility is because lower down here we still have these naked points of control which haven't been swept, and these also still sit within the typical target area that we'd be looking for a B wave towards these lower regions. So now if I just take this off, we can see here that this would still look to align with a retracement back into the 0.618 to this 786. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do start to form bigger impulsive moves down here, we just need to be very careful that we don't see something like this where we could see a bigger flush before having that continuation to the upside. Okay, so we're going to go over this idea here that we are in the C wave now, and we could be looking for this direct continuation to the upside. How would I be looking at this move? Now, if we're going to be looking at this as a C wave, we'd either be looking at this move as being a 1-2 lower down here, and then a secondary 1 and a 2, in which case what we could be arguing is that this is 1-2, we have another 1-2 here, and that this is becoming our third, fourth, and fifth. Now, it is always possible internally here that this could be 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then we're looking to just blast directly to the upside with this, but we need to see further confirmation, and we're approaching these highs over here. So I'm just being a little bit cautious that this would actually make a lot of sense, that we could be looking for a bit of a deeper retracement, possibly coming back and back testing some of these areas before seeing this continuation up. Now, what we'd be looking for here is that potential that this is actually a triangle in here, and that we are looking to complete our wave 5 to the upside, in which case this would be looking to push us up to the zone of this 1236 to this 121 typically, and we are currently in this area. So we have hit this $200 area, which is obviously an important psychological zone. Now if we move in here and have a look at the subwave counting on this move, what I would then be saying is that from this completion of the triangle over here, we have this is 1 2 1 2, this is 1 2 3 4 5, and what we are doing here is actually looking for the possibility of finding support in this zone here of this 1989 to this 1969. We have actually come into this typical fourth wave target box, and we cannot cross this wave 1 over here, which would be at this 152. If we do continue to hold this zone, we could be looking for a push up towards this 230 area, and then I would be looking for the idea of seeing an additional fourth wave looking to push us back down into this zone of this 181 to this 152, and then looking for a final fifth wave to the upside here, which would push us towards this 239 to this 219 zone. Now, what this would then mean, if we just come back out here, is that this third wave, the yellow one, would then be completed, and if we come back onto the daily, would then mean that we're going to see a bit of a deeper retracement where we could look for price to come back down into some of these lower levels here between this 111 to this 59.74. So if we do see this push up a little bit higher here towards this 0.382, which is sitting at this 239, and we also have alternate targets up here towards this 411. If we do see this continue to hold these previous fourth waves and push up slightly, push up, and then we see a bigger retracement, I'm going to be looking out for this fourth wave target. Now this will move depending on how high we come here. If we had to move up towards this 0.618, this would push the target up towards 86. Where we wouldn't want to see this cross, which is aligning quite nicely with this previous bit of structure here as a fourth wave. And then we also have, you know, this little consolidation area over here. So we'll be keeping an eye on those zones. If, however, we start to break down deeper here, it is possible that we could argue that this fifth wave is completed. Now, within this same idea here, there are possibilities that this could still need to push up a couple more times before we actually see a deeper retracement taking place. And this would be arguing that internally here, instead of counting this move as a third wave completed, so that would be saying that this blue third wave is completed, we could argue that this blue third wave is still in play. Now, the way that I would be looking at this is that instead of looking at this as a triangle, we have this as a three-wave move to the downside. This then becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an expanding diagonal. This becomes our wave 2, and we're still looking for this third wave to come in. Now, within this idea that the third wave is still in play, what we'd be looking for internally is a little bit the same. We'd be looking for the same target box area to hold this 189 to this 169, and then we'd be looking for an additional fifth wave to the upside. 230 to 216 would be the current target that we'd typically be looking for this, and then we'd be looking for once again an additional fourth and a fifth. The difference with this would then mean that we're actually still within this blue third wave, which is actually located lower down here, which would mean that we'd still have an additional fourth and a fifth. So it'd become very important then, you know, these previous swing lows that we've got here, 110 would be one of them, and then we'd be looking for that continuation to push up. And what we'd want to see is price continuing to hold this fourth wave area. We'd want to see price push up, come back down, retest this, push back up, come down and retest it again, and then look to continue up in this manner. If, however, we start to see price breaking down in a bigger way here, we need to just be a little bit careful, because this could actually start to indicate that we have an impulse starting to the downside. Now, another way that we could actually look at this, and this would actually indicate that we're going to have a lot more upside potential here with Solana, would be that instead of counting this as a diagonal, that this could actually be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we still have a whole bunch of fourth waves and fifth waves to the upside to play out. This is why I'm saying that as long as we continue to hold previous fourth wave locations, we could be looking for a direct continuation up, and that could then be looking for some of those higher targets that we mentioned earlier on in the video, where we're looking for that 2.618 or that 3.618 as possible target areas. Now, with this, what I'd be looking for internally here is that this move would then be looking to hold this fourth wave location, which is 190 to this 169. Then we'd look to push up again for this fifth wave. Then we'd be looking for an additional fourth and a fifth here, where we'd be looking for the white count to complete, and then we'd be looking for an additional fourth and a fifth, where we'd be looking for the blue count to complete, and then finally the yellow count to complete. Now, with this, if we do see something like this, this could then mean that either the fifth wave is extended, and what we are saying is that lower down here, we have this as the fourth wave into this point, and that is then our fifth wave completed. Or alternatively, it could mean that we have further extension here, where this is a 1 and 2, and we'll have to continue to watch those previous fourth wave locations. With this idea here, what we'd then be saying is that we could still be within this wave 3. Like I said, if we are still within this wave 3 over here, what we'd then be looking for is that this would then become our third wave. Once this completes, we'd get a fourth wave, and then we'd continue to push up, and this would then possibly look to push us up towards some of these higher targets that we talked about here. You know, I would be watching this 0.618, and then we have these other higher targets where we could be looking for this to continue to push up in this manner. Now, another idea that I want to talk about here is the possibility that this whole move could be a flat. Now, within this idea, what we'd be saying is that this third wave could actually still be completed over here, And instead of looking at this as a triangle and looking to push up as a fifth wave, if we fail to complete this move up where we look for the additional fourths and fifths, what we could then see is that this move could be something like a flat correction. Now, the likelihood of this is lower already because we pushed past this 1.618, which is sitting here towards this 169. But if we're going to see something like a running flat where we fail to take this A wave low, this would still make this a possibility. Now, the way that I would be looking at this is that this whole move is basically an A wave down. We have this as a B wave up. Now, the zone that we typically look for, if this is a W, X, and a Y, would be between this 181 and this 246. We've come right into this zone, and looking at the subwave count here, we'd be then saying that this move here is just A, B, C. We're not going to get a fourth wave, and price is going to look to push down and invalidate the idea of that impulse by taking out this 152. If we do see this, what I'm going to be looking out for is the fact that if we do get a 5-wave move, which pushes us back down into this area here of this 118 to this 98.68, I'm going to be watching to see how we respond. If we continue to hold this level, I'm going to be looking for that possibility to see smaller 5-wave structure to the upside. And then if this holds support, we could then be looking at an additional leg to the upside where we would still be looking for that possibility of a 5th wave to come here. And that would then mean that our 3rd wave's completed here, and our 5th wave target would still be potentially higher up here, where we could see price look to push back up into this region of this 248 to this 191. If we do have a flat correction here, this move could be quite violent. So we'd have to watch the internals for a better idea of, targets for that. But like I said, I would be looking out for that possibility of seeing price hit some of these higher zones. 411 would align quite nicely with coming back into the top of the channel. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. If we do see something like a flat here, this could then align with seeing this push up into this level one more time. From there, we're going to have to continue to watch how the waves develop. Okay, so we've come back out here so that we can talk about the idea that this move could still be a bigger B wave. Now, the typical rejection area we look for a B wave is between the 786 and this 1382. Now, this would be looking at the possibility that we have a flat correction here where we're going to see a 5-wave move to the downside. If we do come back up here, going to be also paying attention to this 266. This would be a retest of this high here, and then alternate B targets would be higher up. If this is going to be a regular flat, what we'd then be expecting is a potential to move back down here and look for this 121 to this 1236, paying attention to this 0.618 if this is going to be a running flat, which means that the C wave doesn't cross this A wave, and we just see price come back into this consolidation area. If we do see this starting to develop, what I would be looking for is 5-wave structure to the downside here, followed by a 3-wave move up, which fails to take the high. That would be the first indication that something like this could be taking place. At the moment, I am still looking at the possibility of this pushing up higher, but we'll have to see how the waves start to develop to the downside here, and if they're just corrective or whether they start to become impulsive. Now, the way we'd be looking at the internal here would be A, B, C. This is why it's not my preferred count here, is because looking at the internals here, it's looking quite impulsive. So if we fail to develop the additional 4th and 5th, then possibly this could start to come into play because we've already moved up towards this 1618, which is possible for a C wave. But once we start getting into this level, we need to be very careful because typically speaking, we'd be looking for this 1.618 for a 3rd wave, and then we'd be looking for that a possibility of a 5th wave. If the 4th wave fails to hold support and we fail to develop a 5-wave move up, then this would start to become a more likely scenario, particularly once we start to cross these highs here of this 32 and this 27.21. If we lose those highs, then the idea of this being an impulse to the upside is invalidated, and then we would be looking possibly for that idea that we're going to see this bigger break to the downside. If, however, we do look to continue to push up here and move into this orange target box without keeping good structure, if we see 5-wave moves to the upside and then we do get those additional 4ths and 5ths, it would invalidate this idea. But I would still be keeping an eye between this 1018 to this 266 if this is going to become an expanding flat. But like I said, this is my least probable scenario, but just got it on the back burner here, just keeping an eye on it. Now if this is our C wave over here, we'd have to count it slightly different because we wouldn't be incorporating this additional 1-2 over here. And what we'd then be saying is that internally we could be looking for something like this. Once again, this is not my preferred scenario, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on this, that in this case, what we'd be saying is that we have 1-2 here, this becomes 3-4, and what we're looking for is something like an expanding diagonal at the top end here, and the internals of this would be slightly different to how we would be counting the other moves. Inside this move, what we'd then be saying is that once again we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our A wave over here. We have a 3-wave move to the downside, and we are looking for the possibility of a 5-wave move to the upside. Now we could argue once again that this could be 1, 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're looking for an additional 4th and a 5th. This is why I'm still looking for that possibility that if this does look to push up higher, we could look to push up between this area here of this 1236 to this 235 level. This would align with pushing up towards this 239, which is the 1.236, and then looking for 3 waves down and additional 3 waves to the upside. So this would be slightly different once again to the other scenarios. This would be looking for basically an expanding wedge pattern towards the top end of this move, where we'd be looking for this as a 3-wave move here. This becomes another 3-wave move, get 3 waves down, and then we'd be looking for a final bigger 3-wave move to the upside, which looks to be larger than this move over here. With this idea, what we'd be looking for is basically 3 waves to the downside. We'd have to cross this 137 for this to start becoming a valid count. We need to start to see a 5-wave move down here, 3 waves up, and then another 5-wave move to the downside, looking possibly for this trend line over here. This may move around a little bit. We could argue it's something like this, but it would have to be expanding. That would be the key thing here, is that this 4th wave would need to be bigger than this wave 2 over here, and then we'd be looking for that additional 5th wave to the upside in 3 waves. The idea then would be that once this completes, we get bigger 5-wave move to the downside. Like I said, least likely scenario, but something that is still worth keeping an eye on over here. Okay, so I'm going to come into the lower time frame here, and we're going to talk about what could be going on more locally. Within this idea, I'm looking for 2 possibilities. Now, the first possibility is that we could have something like a flat over here. And what this would be then saying is that over here in this smaller area, this could be A, B, and this is our C wave. We've moved down, we've hit this 1.618. If this is the case, what I would want to see is this low hold. I'd want to start to see 5-wave structure to the upside if we're looking for that additional 5th, looking to take out this B wave here at this 210. Now, if we are looking at that as a 5th wave, all of those targets are pointing towards this zone here of this 233 to this 216. If, however, we fail to push up past this typical rejection area that I've got drawn in here, so there's 2 that are here. Basically, we have this one, which is for an X wave, and this one if we're looking for a flat. If we're looking for this as an X wave, I would be looking to see rejection between 194 and 184, and then we'd be looking for this as a 3-wave move. We get 3 waves to the upside, and then another 3-wave move to the downside, where we could see price then come down towards this 164 to this 168. If this is a flat and it's a 4th wave, we'd expect to see quite a violent move to the upside here, looking to sweep that B wave high. Well, one of the things that we have to be careful of here is because we do have 5 waves down here. Now, if we do have a 5-wave move down here, we need to be very careful because this could turn into an impulse. One of the ways we could look at this is that if this is an A wave, instead of this being part of a flat, and our wave actually completes into this high, our 3rd wave, we could see a 3-wave move down in an ABC pattern, where we could see price come back down towards this 157 if we reject off of this 194 level. Obviously, there are some other interesting zones just above that, which is sitting here towards this 198. So I would be watching this 0.618 to see if we get 3 waves up, and then we see this continuation down. If we do see this as a 5-wave move down, we only get 3 waves up, and we fail to take this high. We need to start being careful of this possibility that we could see a bigger breakdown. If we do see price reject and we push past the 1.618 of whatever this A and B is, then we could be looking at a bigger 5-wave move to the downside, and then we'd be looking for that possibility of an additional 4th wave and a 5th wave, and then we'd be looking to see how we respond back to the upside. 3 waves up would mean that we have the possibility that this then becomes 1, 2, and we're going to see that continuation down. If we start to get 5 waves to the upside and we fail to develop that, the additional 4th and a 5th, then we could be looking at this move starting to extend out even further. So this is going to be why it's important to hold these key levels. 109 is going to be the first one. Not interacting with these highs of 137 and this 152 would make me look for that possibility of seeing the continuation up here in the additional 4ths and 5ths. And then we're going to have to keep an eye on the previous 4th wave structures. Like I said, if we do see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what I don't want to see is this high crust, and we want to see an additional 3-wave move down, looking to interact with these previous 4th waves before seeing that continuation up. If we start to fail to develop those structures, we need to then be on the lookout that we could be looking for a bit deeper retracement here. And one of the things that I would be cautious of is that if this move is actually completed as a wave 3, like we said in the beginning of the video, we could be looking for a deeper retracement back down towards this 111 to this $59 region. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Why not come check it out? It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.